Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krensman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks.
You're very welcome.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're listening from, everybody. Welcome to the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, coming to you as always from the exceptionally beautiful and bright studios today.
Thank you.
Of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. We welcome you to episode number 30. That is Trenta. I can't do it where like you do the tongue roll.
Me neither.
No, but yours sounded better than mine. Episode number Trenta on the Spanish style.
Mm-hmm.
For those who are listening, and those who are listening can find us on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and a couple other places. If you look hard enough, if you put on your detective hat, you can find us. And as always, you can reach us with any questions at any time at mypbshow@gmail.com. That is, again,
I know.
Oh, wow. Look, there it is. If you're following live, it usually follows us. It was a little bit lagged today.
It was lag. I don't know where it went, but there it is.
Maybe it is lagged. I'm going to guess because we did switch to like a bi-weekly format. We were on every week, and my real job right now, if I said it was busy, that is not even an accurate description, is so busy that we are switching for probably just 2 months up to this bi-weekly format.
Mm-hmm.
And the plan here is to be back to doing weekly episodes for you. Sooner rather than later, and I would imagine it will definitely be the case in July, if not June. So we'll keep.
It's a sad time. Sad time for me. Don't get to hang out with you every week.
You know, it's equally sad because this has become a really fun place. And after the shows lately, as we talked about last time, you and I have had these battles here in the studio on Xbox hockey. And I shouldn't say last week; it would have been 2 weeks ago.
It should have been.
Dougie,
we had a battle. We had an epic 4 overtime session battle.
We did. But those days will come again.
They will.
My work will level out in the summer a little bit, and I'll have a little bit of time to breathe. We can thank homeschooling and COVID for some of my issues right now, although we're all healthy, thank God. And we will be back to the weekly format. So welcome to the program. I should also say we always give a special thank you to our sponsors, the Ridgewood YMCA in Ridgewood, New Jersey. Check them out. As things are now, it seems, and I don't know if it's right or wrong. I don't want to be the judge on this or take the liability for that matter. But as it seems that things are starting to reopen in the world a little bit, this would be a very good time to check out the Ridgewood YMCA if you're in the Bergen County area. Absolutely.
They have a lot of cool things going on. They really want to be more in depth in the community. So they've really opened up the virtual stuff. So we've done Ask an Agent series where we're asking professionals in real estate, like business tips in real estate, defensive tactics videos with Master Phil. We're having Recipe of the Week with the Chef of Biagio's. A lot of cool stuff. We'll be doing spotlights on the local businesses in Ridgewood, but really getting them in depth into the local community and also virtual.
Very, very cool. Yeah. Speaking of local businesses in Ridgewood, totally like on the fly, I went to a couple weeks, or was it last week? I had to be in the Ridgewood area for something, and I tried this new restaurant there, like kind of on the go, this Poke spot, P-O-K-E. I don't know if you're familiar with Poke. And it was pretty freaking awesome. So that would be a spot at the MCA when you leave there from your workout or whatever you go to do, or if you're going to go shoot with the CEO, Ernie, our friend, Ernie Lamore. You can go check out that Poke spot, and you will be sending me a thank you for that. So we're going to start. We'll have a guest come on in a little bit. So we'll start with the hockey aspect of our show right away. And let's fill you in. So, 2 weeks ago, when we taped this program on March 16th, the next day, the New York Rangers had a home game on that Wednesday night, St. Patrick's Day special, versus one of their rivals, the Philadelphia Flyers. And earlier in that day, to give you a little recap of the events, the Rangers announced that David Quinn's daily press conference before the game, was going to be delayed. And obviously, when you hear that, your eye, something's up, right? Now, the first thing that a lot of people thought, including myself, was, maybe David Quinn isn't the coach anymore of the team. Maybe they fired him. And it turned out that was not the case. David Quinn entered COVID protocol, and the Rangers had no coaches for that game. What they did because I'm sure you probably don't know this, Dougie
I
Sticks.
don't.
They called up their minor league coaches from their Hartford, Connecticut affiliate to coach
Mhm.
the team, and they had their assistant general manager, Chris Drury, step in behind the bench as well. So now you have a new coach, you get people,
Mhm.
all new coaching staff, and you're playing the Philadelphia Flyers. What happened that night, Dougie Sticks?
I'm going to guess they won.
What was the score, Dougie Sticks?
I'm going to say 3-0.
9-0.
Whoa, no.
Yes.
9-0.
Yes.
So I think we found our new coach.
Well, here's the thing. People started speculating, wow, there's a lot of people that don't like David Quinn. David Quinn now steps away for one game and the Rangers win 9-0. That's a little bizarre. And Mika Zibanejad, who's been ice cold all year, had a hat trick in that game and 6 points. Now, you can't have one game be your deciding factor.
True.
So that is not okay. But however, it was then announced, and I don't think this was supposed to happen. Pavel Buchnevich, after the game that day, said that the team had been informed that their coach David Quinn had tested positive for COVID. Because as we've talked about on the show, when you enter the NHL's COVID protocol, that does not necessarily mean you have COVID. That may mean you've been around someone. But Pavel Buchnevich decided to just share the medical news with the world and say our coach had COVID. So then you knew when that happened that he was going to be out for an extended
2
period
weeks
of time.
at least.
2 weeks at least. So the Rangers since then now
Been going on a tear.
they played pretty well. I would say that's accurate to say. They had some games in Washington where they won one and lost the second, and they should have won the one that they lost. They beat the Flyers again last week. They've had a good run. So it does now open up the discussion. And the only reason it opens up the discussion is that the discussion was there before this even happened. Because there have been people, we've talked about it on the show, that don't love David Quinn. And I think it's fair to criticize.
Wow.
So now David Quinn returns 2 days ago, right? He's back. And now everyone wants to say, okay, let's see if they still are playing well. This is Sunday in Washington. And before you know it, well, I shouldn't say before you know it, but by the end of the second period, the Rangers are getting trounced 3-0. They were down 5-1. They did make a comeback effort that fell short in the third period and lost.
Wow.
So I am not going to go on the record as saying that the last 2 weeks have proven that David Quinn definitively needs to be fired. But what I will say is this. The last 2 weeks have showed that this needs to be evaluated. And now going forward, when you have a team that in the last 2 weeks played arguably their best hockey at any point of the season when their head coach wasn't there, it will be very interesting to see now in the coming 2 to 3 weeks how the Rangers play with David Quinn. Tonight, they play the Washington Capitals at home. Okay, that is a hard game. But over the weekend, so on Thursday and a Saturday now, they will travel to Buffalo and play a team that has lost 18 games in a row. If they do not show up, now I'm not saying you got to win the 2 games, but let's be real, you do.
They're not motivated.
Right. If they come out flat versus a team that at that point has probably lost 19 games in a row, I'm sorry, this even needs to be put under a bigger magnifying glass because this is a problem. Now, Mika Zibanejad, who before the year started, everyone has a lot of Ranger fans, including myself, I'll take the blame for this as well, said Mika Zibanejad needs to be given the C. He needs to be given the captaincy. He's the captain of this team. Has had literally an abysmal year. He's been so bad that you have guys on your team named Colin Blackwell, who you never even heard of before the season, that are having better stats than him.
Wow.
Okay. But in the last 2 weeks now, with this interim coach or this coach stepping in because of COVID, whatever you want to characterize it or call it, has now had 2 natural hat tricks and has had probably the best 2 weeks of his career.
So, not many sports can do this, but in lacrosse, there was one of the best lacrosse players of all time named Gary Gait. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Definitely not.
Okay, well,
but I take your word for it.
Gary Gait was a player coach. He was the coach and a player. Maybe they should get Mr. Hat Trick to be a player coach.
Well, all I know is that if you are David Quinn, you have to be smart enough here to realize that you are now under the light. And if the Rangers are not going to make the playoffs. We've been saying that all along, and I understand in the last week because they played so well. They're now, 5 or 6 points behind Boston for the last spot. I got breaking news for you. They're not going to catch the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins still have 6 games with Buffalo. So the Rangers are not going to make the playoffs. But if you're David Quinn and you do not finish the next 6 weeks of this season strong, I'm betting on that he's not coaching the team next year.
You're right. especially with all the controversy before and after that he got COVID. Yeah, absolutely.
And this is amazing to me. There is such a hot coaching commodity that remains on the market in Gerard Gallant, who was took the Vegas Golden Knights to the Stanley Cup in an expansion year. And he also did a good job in Florida before he went to Vegas. That is sitting in kind of the free agency of coaches right now, waiting to get a phone call. How he doesn't have gotten a call, I don't know. But if you're the Rangers, I mean, you've got to be looking at that. So another player here that I want to highlight on the Rangers from the last 2 weeks. He got named yesterday, and I will say this. I was planning to talk about him anyway, and then yesterday he got named the NHL Player of the Week. So clearly it's deserving, and that is Adam Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Here is a young defenseman who came from a school that you applied to and got in, Harvard, right?
Oh, yeah.
He played his college hockey at Harvard. Now you say to yourself, well, Harvard probably doesn't put out a ton of like NHL greats, and they don't. There's been a few. Jimmy Vesey is an NHL guy right now that went there. But Adam Fox is a young defenseman that is a stud. And the fact that the Rangers somehow 2 summers ago were able to only give up a second-round pick to get this guy from Carolina when he wanted out of Carolina is a steal. So Adam Fox remains an integral part of the Rangers' future. And he got the NHL Player of the Week, well-deserved. So we send our congrats out to him. So that is another player for you, Dougie Sticks. Yeah. Not that I'm trying to provoke controversy here, but that is another Ranger player that had a career week in the week the coach was gone.
So we could have been in the playoffs, man, if we had a good coach.
First off, I want to say I like how you say we. I just think it's really cool that you say we. Like, you're now one of us.
Yeah, bro.
We've adopted you.
Right? I mean, are you not claiming me?
No.
Am I not being claimed right now? Are you leaving me on like a doorstep by the firehouse?
No, not at all. But I'm saying that I think it's cool that in 6 months or 7 months of the 7 months of the program, we've made you one of us.
Absolutely.
And we welcome you with open arms on the Ranger bus.
Thank you.
I'm not complaining about it.
Thank you.
So that's what's going on with the New York Rangers. So it'll be interesting to see here now in the next week or two how they play with David Quinn. And again, if they go back to playing the way they played, you're going to keep hearing this coaching controversy talk, and rightly so. So the Rangers go up this weekend, as I mentioned, to Buffalo. Now, 2 weeks ago on the show, Buffalo had at that point, I think, lost 11 in a row. And I had said, I don't understand how the Buffalo coach, Ralph Kruger, has a head job still. This is like... it's not annoying, but it's like mind-scratchingly weird how he hadn't been fired. And this was on Tuesday the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
What happened, Dougie Sticks, the next morning on Wednesday?
He got fired.
So you heard it here first, I guess.
Wow.
But so if you're Buffalo, and I don't want to pick on them because I know you went to school up there, so you do have a little hole in your heart for Buffalo. Mm-hmm. My wife has went to college up in that area and has some friends up there that are Sabres fans. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking the other day, and this is really rude to say, and I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but the Buffalo Sabres have now lost 18 in a row. They lost last night. They had a 3-0 lead at the end of the second period, right? Looked like they were going to end their streak at home versus the Flyers. How any NHL team blows a 3-goal lead at home in the third period is beyond me.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I only remember it happening once, and it was a playoff game that I was at. It must have been 2009 or 10. The Rangers played the Caps in the first round, and Game 4, the Rangers were home. They were down 2-1 in the series. They had a 3-0 lead in the series. I'm sorry, they had a 3-0 lead going into the third period, and they blew the lead in the third. It went to double overtime, and Marian Gaborik literally whiffed on a clearing attempt, and the puck went behind Henrik Lundqvist, and they lost. That's the only time I remember a team blowing a 3-goal lead at home.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, if you're Buffalo right now, all right, now here's my question. You have no future. You have one really good player. We've talked about him a lot on the show, Jack Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
Bonafide star, going to be starting the league for 10 or 15 years. That's your selling point, except Jack Eichel wants to leave, so he's not going to be there. We've talked about that. So here's my question for you.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to be rude, but I was thinking this driving here this morning.
Yes.
Is the hardest sales job in America, right? Forget sports.
Okay.
Let's just talk sales job.
Yeah.
Okay. The people right now that are working in the Buffalo Sabres ticket office, because what front office people do is they have a marketing scheme and they try and sell you a plan of tickets or season tickets, and they say, here's why you should buy. Like, for example, for the Rangers, which I have season tickets for, the whole marketing is come see the kids play, which is fair and accurate. They have a lot of young talent, thankfully, and that's the marketing angle, right? if you're the Buffalo sales ticket office, and I'm almost intrigued or inclined to like send an informational, like, hey, I'm requesting information because I want to see what you're promoting. What angle are you trying to sell tickets?
So when I was going to school in Buffalo, we always went to the Sabres games, and I believe at the time they weren't very good then either. And the selling point was beer.
Okay. So maybe
they had like special sections, party area bars where like it was like a bar, but like you saw the whole ice.
Okay.
Like that was the selling point to us college kids.
Well, I would say
fake IDs.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to know that, Dougie Sticks. But I would say in this day and age, that's certainly not happening with coronavirus.
True.
So I mean, I was just thinking, and I can't think of the answer. If you're sending your prospective clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we talk business on the show, and you're sending your prospective clients stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What sales, like, what is your angle? What is your benefits?
It's probably also like, I remember when the Nets weren't that good, they would sell packages to take the family to a fun day. It was like more like, who cares who wins? Like family of four pack, and see these games. Pick the games you want to see.
But now, if you're going to take, and this is the problem I run into with my son who wants to go to a game, and not that I can't do this, but it's like you got to go get a negative COVID test. So if you're going to take your family of four, you're going to sit socially distanced. I saw someone over the weekend who went to a Devils game, and they said the atmosphere in there was awful because it's just not full. And I'm sure it's like that in every NHL arena. You're only dealing with 10 or 20% capacities in arenas. Yeah. So it can't be that loud. But again, like if you're the Buffalo front office, what are you doing to sell tickets right now? I am going to this week, because as I told you, I am traveling for work now. This returns this week tomorrow. I am going to spend some time and go on the Buffalo Sabres website just out of curiosity and be like, how are you positioning this from a marketing point of view that anybody should buy tickets?
You want to see?
No, we're good. You can. Well, I'll look it up this weekend. I'll have plenty of time that I'm on the road.
Okay.
So what a mess in Buffalo. And here's the other thing. That's a mess. Taylor Hall, I don't want to go off on this guy because I feel like I do this all the time, and probably some of it is warranted and some of it is not. But now it is, he will be probably a rental on his 1 year, $8 million contract and be moved out at the trade deadline. So we will, of course, keep an eye on the trade deadline on the Ranger front as well as other NHL teams going forward. Elaine Vigneau, you ready for this?
Yeah.
And this is not sour grapes, I promise you. Okay, so I'm prefacing that by saying that.
Okay.
Elaine Vigneau, and a lot of listeners will know this, you will not, so I'm going to fill you in, was the coach of the Rangers from 2013 to 2018. And in his first year, he had as good of a start as you could get. He took the Rangers to the Stanley Cup Finals, where they lost in 5 games to the Los Angeles Kings. Elaine Vigneau was then rehired after he got fired, and he's the second year of his coaching tenure in Philadelphia right now.
Mm-hmm.
Before he came to the New York Rangers, he was the head coach in Vancouver, where he also went to the Stanley Cup Finals at one point. And previous to that, his first coaching job was in Montreal. So he's been in 4 places: Montreal, Vancouver, the Rangers, and now Philadelphia. There is a disturbing trend that nobody's talking about this guy, and I said it when he was in the Rangers, and that's happening again in Philly, and I don't understand why people are not picking up on this. You ready for this?
Yep.
In his first year when he goes somewhere, he does a remarkable job. As I said, with the Rangers, he went to the Stanley Cup Finals. He was unbelievable. He had a lot of success in Montreal and Vancouver in the first year. Last year in Philadelphia, they finished with the 1 seed, another very good year. Now we are seeing what happens with Elaine Vigneau. He's dropping performance in the second year. I don't know if players are not buying into the system after 1 year or they get tired of him, but in whatever event, he is now not having a stellar year. And it does look like right now they may not make the playoffs, as the 4 teams in this brutal Metropolitan Division that we keep talking about is going to be in the playoffs: the New York Islanders, the Washington Capitals, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and who am I forgetting? Washington, Pittsburgh, and I'm forgetting somebody. Washington, Pittsburgh, Boston Bruins. Thank you to our studio audience in the corner that is paying attention, as I am not. So, AV, again, the second year on a coaching job, falling in kind of bad form and missing out. So another thing to keep an eye on in filthy Delphia, as we like to call it. So we had a question, and I don't know the answer to it, but I figured we'll bring it up and we'll discuss it. And then I believe we're going to have a guest on with us in a couple minutes. But someone had asked a question, and I think it is maybe the $1 million question of the NHL right now, and I don't know the answer, and I don't think anybody does. And that is, what will the NHL look like in the fall? So we have the NHL, the vaccine rollout continuing here in the U.S. Some may think it's going well. Some may think it's not going well. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I do think whatever your opinion is, statistically and factually speaking, when we get to the fall and the season kind of resumes in the second half of October of this year, more and more people will be vaccinated. So one would like to think, and again, I'm not a doctor. I've never played one on TV, and I don't expect to, and I certainly don't ever go to me for medical advice. But you would think that things would be better. So the question is, what will the fall look like in the NHL? Was a question we got. I think it was last week I saw it. And as I said, I don't know the answer. We all hope that it will be the sort of situation where in the fall, more arenas around the country and Canada, for that matter, will be closer to max capacity. And hopefully, especially if you're a Ranger fan, you want to return to these normal divisions, not this brutal metropolitan, division that they're in. So we'll see what the fall will look like. I think the NHL has usually been very proactive. I'm pretty sure that they've already, looking into this and trying to find ways to maximize to get the fall to look like as normal of an NHL season as possible. And let's hope that in the fall, it becomes a situation where you can easily go to games a lot easier. Maybe you don't need a negative test. Maybe you need a vaccine card, which some arenas like the New York ones are testing right now. Yankee Stadium is doing that. And we'll go from there. Before we switch to our guest,
I was going to ask you, do you think we're going to be wearing like a wristband that says you got vaccinated or the passport? And
I think there's going to be some sort of digital passport. From what I read. Man. So you better get on that, bud.
It's communism.
Yeah, we don't discuss politics on the show. Before we get to our guest, have you done a NCAA bracket? Are you involved this year?
I did not fill out a bracket, but if I did, it would totally be screwed.
Well, everyone's is at this point. So I'm going to call someone out, and I know he listens to the show. I hope he's not listening. I'm not trying to be, but so every year I have a friend. I run a bracket where I send it, maybe to like 60 people on my email list, friends, whatever, and every year like 30 people will join. I think this year we end up with 34, right? It's because everyone's bored; they need something. So stupidly, right? I don't really follow college basketball, so I'm not an expert, but so I had Gonzaga beating Ohio State in the finals, right? Which Gonzaga is still in it, and they look like they may win, and a lot of people have Gonzaga. Well, I had Ohio State in there, and literally the first day of the tournament, this was a week ago Friday, they were out in the afternoon. Like literally the second game played in the tournament, they lost to Oral Roberts, the number 15 seed, right? So my buddy, who loves to take like joy out of me doing bad in an NCAA pool that I don't really care about for $20, text me at the moment, oh, that sucks. Ohio State is out. You're already out of the bracket. Now I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, I can respond one of two ways. I could be a jerk back, but I'm just going to be like the casual thing, right? You know?
Casual.
So
jerk.
I wrote him out and I said, you know what? It's $20, whatever. I still have a chance, yada, yada, yada. And what happens later that night?
Everyone else loses?
No, everyone in his that night, 3 of his four teams lose on that night.
Nice.
So you know what? It's karma at its finest.
Justice was served.
Justice.
I'm all about justice.
You are.
Yes. You double crossed me. We're getting justice.
You're getting justice. So yeah. So
I'm justice.
So I tell you, yeah. So we do hope that if you guys are out there and you're doing an NCAA bracket pool, which I'm sure many of you are, hopefully your bracket looks better than mine, and hopefully you have some Final Four teams in. Gonzaga is still in it, which is the favorite. Michigan is still in it. They have a lot of picks. So some people are probably doing well. That would not be I. And my wife decided to pick Alabama to win the whole thing, which was a good idea because if you're the only one that has that and as a 2 seed they get there, you're going to win.
Yeah.
But they lost the other night in overtime. We were watching the game. I don't know if you watched this. They were down 3 with 4 seconds left. They had to inbound the ball from under the basket. I mean, it would have been like a prayer in heck to get there. And what do you know? They hit the 3. Jess and I are all excited for her. And then they blow it and lose by 10 in overtime. So it was short-lived. Anyway,
some crazy games, man.
Yes,
some crazy games.
Crazy games. So we're going to shift gears. Dougie Six, I'm going to roll over to you because this is one of your guests. So go ahead.
Yeah. Tom's a good friend of mine. Tom Rachelski from Ghost Hawk. Not only does he a master in the brewery company, but he's also a master in mutual funds and financial services. So he's perfect with the theme of our show, which is Mind Your Puck and Business, which is sports and business. We have today brewery and business. So welcome, Tom. How are you?
Hey, what's on, guys?
Tom,
I'm also a NHL fan. Support my.
I think you got. I think. Are you on mute? Right.
let me make sure here.
Maybe it could be our back end production staff in the studio as they get this fixed. But I did see the devil shirt on you.
Can you hear me now?
See here if they can.
Oh.
Do. As we wait for the undefeated media.
Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah, I give you guys fine.
There we go.
There we go. I did see, and you know what? We lost it. Well, they're going to put the camera back up here in the studio. I did see the devil shirt. So
yeah, the devil shirt.
Give me 1 second. All right, technical difficulties are through.
Yeah. I want you to know, Tom, you would appreciate if you go back in our archives. The last episode not the last episode that we did, 2 episodes ago, number 28. Yeah. We had an NHL guy on, and we exclusively for 35 minutes talked Devils. It was kind of painful for me to ask these questions. But I asked, it was a little nauseating too. Yes. But I asked complete double questions, so you may want to go back and find that episode.
No, Tom's probably in my boat too. So yes, I'm with you with the Rangers. You've converted me to be a Ranger fan as well. But you have to realize the New Jersey Devils are the only sports team in New Jersey. The Nets left us. God only knows where the Red Bulls are. Like, we only have the Devils. So like, you can be a Ranger fan. We're okay with it. But like, you got to support Jersey somehow.
Yeah,
man.
And the Giants, they're embarrassed to be in New Jersey. It's
sad.
The Jets have been trying to get out for years. You know?
Yeah, they should be called the Jersey Jets. They would get so many more fans too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Jets, if you watch our football, when football season comes around, because we were doing football every week in the fall. This guy over here, Dougie Sticks, gets real heated with the Jets when we talk about the Jets. And like blowing games for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you want to see Dougie Sticks get heated and like get a little bit red in the face and get annoyed. Tune in the fall when we're doing NFL again. It's the most angry I've ever seen.
You're not going to win. You won 0 games and you decide to beat up on the Raiders?
Yes.
Yeah, come on, man.
Hail Mary at the end.
So before we get into Tom, we'll get into if you're a fan of any sports, why don't you give us a little breakdown about Ghost Hawk? I'll even remove myself so you can give like a little story about the brewery and everything about that.
Yeah, so I always tell people, if you're not on social media, then why don't you like making money? Because even if you're not in an entrepreneurial or sales type of business, social media is still a great way for you to connect with people and network. And maybe it can't help you in your current job, but you never know who you might connect with in your future job. And so I connected with Steve Bauer, who's my business partner right now. We were good friends back in high school. But then, we kind of separated and we haven't spoken in 10 years, but we reconnected on social media. And he started talking about, he had a really cool t-shirt company where he made really amazing designs. And I was really impressed by, his artwork and his creativity. And when he put up a post one day saying, hey, listen, I'm a really creative guy. So I'm like the left brain guy and I need somebody who's a right brain guy, who can help me, with the financing and funding and the business planning side. And I can handle the creative, multimedia side too. So he put that post out on Facebook, and I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, let's talk." And to my wife's chagrin, I used our house savings to open up the brewery. But it all happened through social media. If we didn't have that, I'd probably be in a much nicer house in Waldwick. But it was definitely worth the trip. Because it was a great experience working together and building your own business too.
And that's great. We do, as Dougie said, we do try to promote small businesses on the program a lot, especially local ones like yourself. So where is the brewery now?
The brewery is in Clifton, New Jersey. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Rutt's Hut.
Oh, I mean, we have the deep fried rippers. Yes, we know.
Yeah, the deep fried. Yeah, exactly. That's why we don't tell people our address. We're like just across the street from Rutt's Hut. So just Google Rutt's Hut, and if you don't know where Rutt's Hut is, we probably don't want you at our brewery anyway. So
Yeah. Now,
if
if
you
you
got,
are,
God forbid you say hot grill, then I'm like, all right, you can't come in.
well, you know what I mean. I hot grill to me, we do in a non-COVID world in our office. We do on a Friday in December for the holidays once a year. We do a hot grill lunch where like you eat the stuff at like 12 o'clock and you're taking a nap by 1 in your office. It's like brutal. It like knocks you out, but it's good stuff. All that stuff is good. So we're taping the show on the 30th here on Tuesday. And so if you're watching, there is an event tonight, I believe, and I'll let you guys talk about it. I know Dougie Sticks is really into it. Go ahead, Dougie.
Absolutely. So tonight, Tuesday, March 30th at 5 o'clock, I was able to introduce Tom from Ghost Hawk with Tommy from Biagio's, and we came up with this great craft beer launch event. So, not many people know like that you can get craft beer at restaurants. A lot of times they're going to breweries and they're going to warehouses.
Like or niche places like, Plank Pizza or Midland Brew House where they only have craft beer. But, it's great that more mainstream places like Biagio's are now starting to carry craft.
Exactly. So we're having this event as launch event where now Ghost Hawk is going to be offered at Biagio's. So if you want to be part of the launch event, it's at Biagio's in Paramus at 5 o'clock. We're going to have samplers, tasting. We're going to vote for favorite brew for the next round of brews. And Jimmy, the chef at Biagio's, is making a whole assortment of foods using Ghost Hawk beer. So he's making like the beer burgers, the batter fries.
He's doing a stout burger. He's doing a stout burger, and he's doing a IPA beef brisket.
So wow, it's gonna be very interesting, a lot of fun, and just something to take your mind off the current situations that we're in this day and age. So definitely come one, come all. But that's the our launch craft beer launch event at Biagio. So we definitely love to see you there. Now, along with, unless you want to add to that, Tom, you want to add to that at all?
No, that's it. Yeah,
we're covered it, right?
We're gonna have some giveaways. We're giving out stickers, koozies, t-shirts, and it's gonna be a really fun event. And hopefully it's the start of more events at Biagio's. We're hoping once the rooftop bar is opening up, we'll then maybe do some sort of like brewery battle where we'll have like 4 different breweries and you can vote for your favorite beer.
Now let me ask you a question, Tom. So I used to play back when the pre-kids days. I used to play in a bar league, softball league in Nyack, and we would all play for. It was probably the greatest thing you could do in your 20s or your 30s, right? We would play on a team. The bar would sponsor it, and then whatever the home team was, you would all go back to that team's bar, and they'd put out free appetizers, but you would spend money at the bar. Well, the bar, and I got friendly with the owners, closed a couple of years ago, and they reinvented themselves as a brewery. They opened up last year. And I was following them on social media, watching the process. I never realized how complex it was to build your own beer. Like I would have thought, just being stupid me, that, it's not overly difficult. Maybe you mess around with the recipe, but there's like a science to it. So how long really from, I guess, when you first started to where you were first tasting your finished product, how long did that take, and was the process as hard as it looks?
Oh, well, yeah. Opening up a brewery, yes, yeah. Everybody, they told me like, oh, whatever your timeline is, just double it, and whatever your budget is, double it. So it's not going to be, you're not going to open on time. And I still have cards that said opening spring of 2018, and we ended up opening our target date was November 2018. And then we ended up actually opening April 20th of 2019. We totally missed that target.
But I mean, 5 months.
The most difficult part.
And I think we lost him there for a minute. As he, let's see if we'll get him back. We'll get him back. He'll come back. But anyway, yeah, Dougie Stick. So as we wait for, there we go. Good. We got you.
So saying, the most difficult part is, of course, getting the equipment over here. Because everything's made in China. So you say about where you're ordering stuff from, and so the research part is make sure you're getting good equipment, and of course coming over here. And actually, our equipment came over here and got hit by not one but 2 natural disasters. There was a typhoon in the Pacific, and then a hurricane in the Atlantic that caused a huge delay for our equipment to get here. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, it's I was surprised at how much of a process it was. I mean, I knew it wouldn't be easy, but like the science behind it and what you're adding and the machinery. So
Yeah, and
if
our
you
brewmaster, he's an amazing guy. Like I said, I wasn't going to bet the house.
So, we're having a little bit of
technical
difficulties on your end there. So, if you want to check this out, Dougie, why don't you recap? If you're in the Bergen County area today, in particular, on the 30th, and you're watching, what can you do and where can you go?
You can go to Biagio's, and that's in Paramus. I believe it's 299 Paramus Road, but don't quote me on that.
It is Paramus Road, though.
Yes, pretty sure. Pretty sure it's right across. It's like right across the street from Bergen Community College, like down the block from Bergen Community. But yeah, that's where we're gonna have the event, 5 o'clock. So come one, come all. You can go to, it's a real thing. Go to Biagio's Facebook page. It's right there. There's an event and everything. So definitely check that out. But along with the brewery side of things, so like we're like a sports and business show. Tom is multifaceted as well. So Tom is actually a financial, I don't want to butcher this, but a financial advisor where he helps people with their assets, mutual funds, and stuff like that. So Tom, why don't you go into a little bit about the financial thing
Yes,
stuff?
I'm a CFP, a certified financial planner. I have my MBA from Rutgers. So again, we're talking about like Steve's. Is it left side's the creative side, right? I don't always get them mixed up.
Yeah.
I always get it confused.
Yeah, whatever. So Steve's the creative side. I was the business side. Got the MBA and everything. I'm the one who built the business plan. Actually, funny story. Steve actually tried to open up a brewery 2 years before I approached him too, and he had somebody who was a brewmaster from Cricket Hill, but he didn't have somebody with the financial backing, and he didn't put together a good business plan and couldn't get investors behind him. And but when I stepped in, I had a nice formal business plan. I did research. I went to all the different breweries in New Jersey, which is kind of funny because people thought I was turning into alcoholic because I check in every time I went to a brewery on Facebook. My friends would be like, "You've been to like 5 breweries this week. Are you okay, Tom? You should go home and see your family." But I didn't want to tell them I was doing research. But yeah, so I have that business background for myself. I worked for PNC Wealth Management. But then my position got eliminated, and so I'm focusing on the brewery, but I still have all my licenses. So I built a small independent financial planning practice. So, and since, it's not my primary focus, first off, my fees are really low, but I'm also focused more on, smaller investors and smaller businesses, helping them get the advantages of somebody like myself, who, when I was at PNC, my minimum was $1 million. So if you had, it was crazy. Even if you had like $999,000, I couldn't accept you as a client. Wow. They were that strict at PNC. But here, if you have like $10 and you want to kind of figure out what to do with it, I'll be more than glad to kind of help you out and put together some sort of financial plan for you.
Awesome. So is there any, do you have a quick tip or trick to share with the people? Like I've been getting, I hope this isn't blasphemy, but I've been, investing a little bit in crypto. So I don't know, is there any tips or tricks for the average investor to look into?
Well, yeah. I mean, the question is, do you want to invest or speculate? Right. So when you're investing, you're looking at the fundamentals, right? So you're looking at, all right, how much money is this company making? What's their future projected growth, and are you going to discount it into today's dollars to figure out the value, right? And you can kind of figure out whether it's a company that has good growth potential or not, and that's fundamental. Whereas cryptocurrency, you have like 50 different coins, and there's no financial backing behind the coins, right? And then when you look at Palmer's 4 important business factors, how to protect your business, they call it a moat. What's protecting your business from other businesses encroaching on you? With cryptocurrency, there is no moat, right? I can create a crypto coin right now, right? So how many crypto coins do we need, right? Who's buying these crypto coins, right? And also the moat is also against other businesses and also against the government. So the government could literally step in one day and be like, all right, well, this is getting a lot of control. We're going to ban cryptocurrency. And there's really nothing to stop the government from doing that, because they can regulate whatever they want. So yeah, I mean, if you want to speculate, there are tons of crypto coins and things like that you can throw some money at. But there's also a lot of great companies out there that you can put in, and most importantly, you get a dividend for. Now, the problem with cryptocurrency, you don't get compounding interest, right? So in other words, you don't get a growth on your growth. Whereas if you have a company that pays dividends, and you get those dividends, you then earn interest on your dividends. And Albert Einstein said himself, the greatest invention humankind has ever made was compounding interest.
So I should double down on GameStop then.
he should double down on the NHL section of GameStop, where they sell NHL 21 in the battles we have. Well, we thank you.
EA Sports, right?
Yes, EA Sports. That is our thing. We go back and forth with battles here in the studio. Not today. I don't have time today, but we normally do after the show.
Tom has been to the studio, but we have not broken out. So, Tom, there's 2 TVs here, 2 Xboxes. And when we finish the show, there's battle royales here
that's awesome.
Going on. So, yes.
So if you hear like the local police coming down to break up an altercation on Tuesday mornings, it's usually because one of us lost in the 4 overtime throw.
It's the only domestic abuse call going on at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Send me your handle. I can play remotely from my house. So,
well, we will do that. Well, thank you for joining us, and good luck at the event tonight. You can check them out, and we will we'll bring you back on, and we'll talk some maybe Ranger and Devils hockey if you want with the attire you're wearing over there.
Yeah, maybe be in studio, bring a couple brews.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
we could do that. We could do a lot. You know what we could do? We could do a live tasting one day here.
Absolutely.
We'll do that if you want.
Tuesday at 10 o'clock is the best time to start drinking beers.
I tell you, I just need to make sure I get coverage to get my kids at 1. I'll be off that day for that. But thanks for joining us, Tom. A good story and good luck.
Great. Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Thanks, buddy. So that is cool. You'll have to let us know.
We're going to have a video. We're going to have behind the scenes look. That's what we do. And I'm so glad that Tom has mentioned social media.
Hold on. I'm gonna bust you for a second.
Yes. Oh, please. Let's bust him back.
I know you love to film behind the scenes stuff.
Oh no. Oh, come on. That's not fair.
Inside joke.
Yes.
Inside
joke.
No,
you could say. So we have behind the scenes footage, but I got to find right spots to put it. I can't just post everything every day.
I'm gonna say what happened, and then we're gonna call it a show. So the Rangers, on the day back in October where they drafted Alexis Lafreniere, we happened to be recording that day, and I was sitting here in my usual chair.
Yes.
Well, maybe about 20 minutes or so before the show, we had a different people in here, by the way, that day. I don't remember who it was, but it wasn't just you.
Yeah, we had a little crew.
We had a crew in here that day. And they were filming all these behind the scenes promos for the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast. Right? There were people flying around with cameras. It was a little bizarre. This was now literally, actually, next week will be the 6-month mark. No one has ever seen the footage.
All right. It's got to be edited. We got to make it look good. I'm not going to just throw it out there.
He takes his time. You know, quality work, but he takes his time. That's why we love him. Anyway, thank you, Dougie Sticks. Another great show. We will be back in 2 weeks. We will be taping, as of now, the plan is on Tuesday, April 13th. I will try my best to block my schedule somehow that you and I can play a game of NHL. Because I don't want you to get upset. And as always,
who's going to get upset?
No, you get upset if we don't play.
Oh, I thought you meant like I was going to lose. No, you're going to lose.
No. They've been pretty even games, I have to say.
Four overtimes. Yeah, 50, the longest game I've ever been as part of.
So, if you have any questions, as always, you can reach us at mypbshow@gmail.com. We do check that often. I am back on the road this week, but I will be checking that from the road, and I can get you answers if you need. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, yes. As we mentioned on the show, keep an eye in the next 2 weeks. We will bring it up, and when we reconvene in 2 weeks, what is going on with David Quinn? Have the Rangers played well in the previous 2 weeks is going to be a major topic on the show. Because if they haven't, with what happened in the last 2 weeks when they played well without David Quinn, the noise and the talk about David Quinn's job security is only going to get louder. And let me tell you something, David Quinn. You don't want Dougie Sticks being on the bandwagon to fire you because it's going to pick up speed.
Oh, yes. Justice will be served.
I am going to videotape that day. Here's what I'm going to do. If it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to video on my phone when I come in here.
Yes.
Behind the scenes of you talking about David Quinn. And we'll see if we can, get it to the right people.
Just a fan of I'm a good dude and I help people as much as I can. But if you cross us, you're cut off. You're out.
And don't mess with Dougie's New York Rangers. Don't mess with them.
Don't mess with them.
Anyway, thanks for checking us out. Whether you were on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, we always appreciate it. We always appreciate the listenership. We appreciate the questions as always. And we will see you, I promise, in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.